Welcome back, fight fans, to another episode of Ringside. In today's video, I would like to discuss the fight between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev and the other fights on the undercard. So let us first start with the undercard of Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. I will be listing some notable fights and some of the fights that I gave predictions to in my community post. So, first of all, Ben Whittaker seemingly quit against Liam Cameron. Now, I thought Liam Cameron was a bit of a step up for Whittaker, as Cameron had just lost a split decision with Lyndon Arthur. And Lyndon Arthur is a pretty good fringe level world contender. He held the IBO Ghost Belt, which is theoretically the fifth governing body that no one pays attention to, but a lot of world champions just hold that belt usually. Dmitry Bivol got the IBO belt from Lyndon Arthur, but Lyndon Arthur is a fringe world contender, and Liam Cameron lost a split decision against him. So I thought this fight was actually a little bit of a big step up for Ben. I don't know if he really pulled Liam or Liam pushed him, but seemingly I think Ben pulled Liam to the ropes, because Liam seemed a bit baffled about that. I don't think Liam would push him necessarily. He could have, but we'll just have to wait and see. Fabio Wardley completely decimated Fraser Clark. This was something that I did not expect at all, and I'm sure many boxing goers did not expect this. But it showed that Fabio Wardley is on a different level to what many have perceived. I believe his performance against Fraser Clark the first time was a chance for him to really learn and to really hone his talent to a new level. It was a good test for him, and I think he has now evolved into a better fighter, a much better fighter from the first fight he had with Clark. It was a explosive performance from him. He knocked him out, basically knocked him out. Even though Fraser Clark had not fainted on the canvas, his cheekbone and orbital bone seemingly had broken, and it was a very brutal knockout. I wish Fraser Clark a fast recovery. I hope he gets better, and I hope he can continue boxing. Fabio Wardley will most likely challenge a top 15, top 20 contender in the near future. According to BoxRec, he's ranked 11. I think that's a bit high. I think I would rank Wardley about 20, which was his original rating right before he fought Clark for the second time. Chris Eubank Jr., his performance against Kamil Cerizometa was pretty understandable. I predicted a 9th or 10th knockout, but his KO in the 7th round was also possible, so I think my prediction for that was pretty good. Jaio Bataya's KO of Jack Massey is the same thing. I think a lot of boxing goers, diehard fans such as myself, were expecting Jaio Bataya to win that bout extremely convincingly and have a dominant performance over Massey. He KO'd him in 6 rounds, and that was bound to happen. I believe Jaio Bataya probably could have closed the show whenever he wanted after round 3. And so we get, after so many decisive victories during the night, we get to the main event. And a main event which was one of the greatest spectacles of boxing. Now, Ben Whittaker, during his ring walk, seemingly dressed up in an anime character's costume. But if one were to truly find the ultimate anime battle between two fantasy characters in the real world, Beterbiev versus Bivol couldn't be further from that analogy. This fight was packed with action. Both fighters had the durability to take each other's punches and make this a fire fight, an exciting fight, and something that will live as truly one of the best fights of this decade. Now, the whole controversy behind the fight is that Dmitry Bivol was robbed. And watching the fight back, I believe that the fight was definitely a tie because, first of all, there's a lot of cases for individuals to favor Bivol or Beterbiev. From the casual boxing goer, a casual fan actually might believe Beterbiev won because a casual fan might not be able to tell that Bivol is blocking most of Beterbiev's punches. And that's because Beterbiev had most obviously threw many more punches than Bivol. For a 39-year-old in this fight, that is extremely surprising, and I still believe Beterbiev's performance showed that he was a great in the sport, even if he lost a close decision to Bivol, which he didn't according to the judges. But we'll get into that further. So from a casual standpoint, I believe the casual boxing fan would think that Beterbiev decisively won the bout, and I actually believe that a casual boxing fan would believe Beterbiev did get an 8-4 card, but a casual boxing fan is not an expert. And so we turn to the more seasoned boxing fan, in which many believe that Bivol won because he landed the cleaner shots. And although he landed less punches, he did something like Canelo, except Canelo decisively wins fights because he is able to go on the front foot and throw quality punches. Canelo has slow footwork, but his punches, precision, and punch variety is very good. And so Canelo has the perfect attributes to be a low volume punch fighter because he punches hard and he punches very strategically. Dmitry Bivol also punches extremely strategically. However, as a back foot fighter and as someone who doesn't really have the punching power that opens the eye of many boxing fans, I believe that the judges and some boxing fans, I mean, there have been professional boxing coaches, fighters, and critics and analysts who have said that Beterbiev won, such as Rummy's Corner, which is an extremely credible channel. I believe you should check him out. He predicted Bivol to win in his latest prediction of the fight by decision. And Rummy's Corner's original prediction was Beterbiev. But he predicted Bivol and still believed Beterbiev won. And so when one watches the fight, I believe that you could make a case that Beterbiev won 7 rounds to 5 or Bivol won 7 rounds to 5. In my opinion, I think I will stick to my own decision that Beterbiev won by a decision. That was my prediction, and theoretically, it was rendered true in the ultimate verdict. But I do see the case that Bivol won the fight, and so I believe that the best option is that this fight was a clear draw, and that similar to Frazier Clark versus Fabio Wardley 1, the next fight will probably be similar. Now, this is actually something I just thought of, which is funny, because this fight, I believe, reflects Fabio Wardley versus Frazier Clark 1 in many ways, in which many believe Bivol, like Clark, won the first fight. Now, obviously, there are many differences between these fights, as Bivol and Beterbiev are much better boxers than Wardley or Clark are, by vast senses, but the overall analogies one could make between the two fights are very similar. But aside from that ramble, I would say that this fight was clearly a tie. A rematch should happen. The only concern I have with a rematch is that we know that Beterbiev is getting older. And so let's say if Beterbiev started slowing down, then a lot of boxing goers could say if Bivol won a decisive decision, it would be because Beterbiev was getting older. If Beterbiev actually looks slower and has less punch output. So Bivol, I believe, even though Beterbiev might have not won the fight, has to actually improve a great deal to actually solidify his legacy and decisively beat Beterbiev. I believe Bivol had not done enough in the fight and might not be able to do enough in the rematch to get a win over Beterbiev based on these results and based on the fact that Beterbiev is old. Now, this doesn't mean Bivol didn't win this fight. It's really a 50-50 still. It's still a 50-50. I believe the result hasn't really changed since before the fight. Before the fight, it was a 50-50 fight. Now, I still think it's a 50-50 fight. If Beterbiev is still as young, still as active, and has the same footwork, punch output, and stamina as he did in this fight, in a rematch, I believe Bivol will have to improve much more. I'm sure he can watch back the fight and see where he was flawed. I believe Bivol should have actually kept to his style more, but I didn't expect Beterbiev to go forward so much. I thought Beterbiev would get knocked down by Bivol because even though Bivol is not a power puncher, I believe that he could still probably knock down someone like Beterbiev. Beterbiev got knocked down by Callum Johnson, who was a fringe world contender. And he's also 39, so you would think Beterbiev's chin would be unstoppable, or stoppable in this case. But this fight is clearly a draw. And I believe that a rematch is completely warranted. In my opinion, I think I could say Beterbiev just edged the fight. Now, when one is scoring rounds, I believe Bivol won the first two. And I believe Beterbiev won rounds 3, 4, and 5. And from rounds 6 to 9, these were really the rounds where individuals could give it either to Beterbiev or Bivol. Well, I believe Beterbiev actually won round 6. Round 7 was clearly to Bivol, actually. And now 8 and 9 are really the swing rounds. 8, 9, and then... So we have it here. So by round 6, it was 4-2. With round 7, it was 3-4 in favor of Beterbiev. 8 and 9. By round 9, I think it was 5-4 either Bivol or Beterbiev. And round 10, I believe, could have been even because a lot of boxing goers believe Bivol won round 10. And so if it was 5-4 in favor of Beterbiev at round 9, it would have been even at round 10, or Bivol would have a 6-4. Now, if Bivol did have a 6-4 at round 10, I've heard a lot of boxing analysts, such as Rummy's Corner, G-Man Boxing, Hatman Boxing, Joe Stunner Boxing, say that Beterbiev decisively won round 11. And some say round 12 was decisively won by Beterbiev. I've heard more individuals say so far that Beterbiev won round 12 more decisively than Bivol. So now, if it is the case that by round 10, the fight was 6-4 in favor of Bivol, and Beterbiev, by most accounts, seemingly won rounds 11 and 12, I believe the best decision is that it was a draw. If one looks at it objectively through many of the accounts that have been given and what many analysts have said about the fight, it is decisively a draw. Some people do believe Bivol won round 12 and Beterbiev won round 10. But again, that wouldn't change the outcome of it being a draw. So these are just my analyses from multiple dimensions of the fight itself. And so we really need to see the rematch, round 13 through 20 to 24 of this fight. Zachary Cloutier at ringside. I hope you liked this analysis, and I'll see you in the next episode.